Parak Mem Aleph, the 41st chapter of the book of Tehillim. Lam Natseach Mizmor LeDavid. Like many of the other ones, this is a to the director of music, a psalm of David. Ashrei Maskil Eldal Biyom Ra'ah Yimaltehu Adonai. Happy is he who considers the sick. God will deliver him on the day of evil. So there is an idea, a tradition that Tehillim is made up of, I believe, 5 books, and the second book starts with chapter 41. Like the first 40 chapters are one book. It may have been, different things that were collated and placed together at one point, and it would make sense if this is the beginning of the same book. The same way the first chapter we started Ashrei Ha'ish, we start here Ashrei Maskil Eldal. That right, the happy is the person who considers the sick. So is this a person considering their own sickness and why they may be sick, and that's why God helps them? Is this somebody who considers the sickness of others? But God here is going to respond to the sick person. Adonai yishmerehu v'chayehu yeushar ba'aretz v'al titnenu b'nefesh oivav. God will protect him, will keep him alive, will take steps on the earth, or God will sort of come to the earth to help him, but will not deliver him to the desire of his enemies. And this we've had recently in a number of different chapters, sort of the coalescing, I don't know, of these two different potential enemies or ideas. Sounds like, human enemies hate somebody, want to see their downfall, as well as sickness. So it's hard to understand what the backdrop is to that. Is it that the king was sick and maybe his enemies were trying to take advantage of his physical ailments to come and to attack him, to strike him down at a time of weakness, a time that he was feeble? It's hard to understand exactly sort of the backdrop to it. But the real desire here is again for this person who is sick to perhaps think about what went wrong, and for God to heal the person. And that's sort of the first part of this chapter concludes with the following, with verse 4. Adonai yisadenu al eres divai, kol mishkavo hafachta bicholyo. God will support him upon the bed of sickness. God turned over his entire bed of illness. So sa'ad, which can mean different things. Here it means support, and what we have here ultimately is not just God supporting him, but then the first step is supporting it, making him feel maybe a little bit better, and then the complete reversal where that person now believes that person is now completely better. Continue with the second sort of little section in this chapter. Ani amarti Adonai chaneni rifa'a nafshi ki chatiti lach. I said, God, be kind to me, be gracious to me, heal me, for I have sinned against you. As we've had many times, I made a mistake, I sinned, I did something wrong, but God, come and I've suffered, I'm accepting my suffering, and now come and help me. Oivai yomru rali. My enemies, they speak evil of me. They want rali. They want bad things to happen to me. Matai yamut va'avad shmo. When will he die and his name be lost, his name perish, that he will no longer be alive? We won't have to worry about him anymore. V'imba lirot shav yidaber libo yikbatz aven lo yetzei lachutz yidaber. And if one comes to see, right, these people are coming to see me. They're my enemies are coming to see me, right? It's not my friends who are coming to see me. What do? They say false things. They lie. They pretend that they care about me, right? They say, "Oh, I feel so badly for you," and then in the deep recesses of their heart, they're hoping that the person succumbs to his illness, right? And then when he leaves the room, he says it, what he really believes. I hope that guy, gets strangled tomorrow or whatever. I don't know. I got an image of a Godfather movie or something. Continuing in verse 8, Yachad alai yit lachashu kol sonai, alai yachshavu ra'a li. All those hate me, they whisper against me. against me. What do they think? They think evil. Okay, and this may be, there's again the hard to try to figure out. But back in the book of Shmuel, and it talks about his servants were whispering against him in the aftermath of the Bathsheba affair, and when his son was very sick. And that didn't mean they were whispering him for his downfall, but they're it's a case where they right, the enemies don't want me to know exactly what they're thinking, what they're saying, but they're clearly, at least according to the Mishorer here, according to the author of this chapter of Tehillim, they are saying things about him that are not so complimentary. Continuing verse 9, Pasuk Tet, Davar Bilial Yatsukbo, V'asher Shachav Lo Yosif Lakum. Something deadly, something Blial, something terrible has been poured into him, and he will lay down and not rise. We've had this word blial before. Blial is a term that means, I don't know, like a schmuck or something, an evil person, a scoundrel. In the book of Shmuel and the book of Shoftim, it's a word that describes a person who's either, you could say bliol, they don't go up, or right, like aliyah, blial, like you don't go up. You could understand as bliol, without the yoke of sort of God. And so, right, this is a person who's this is a, I think the main way to understand this is that these people are saying about me that I will not rise, that what has been poured into me being the sick man, is going to take me down, and lo yosif lakum, I will not go up. And that, of course, that's what they're wishing, it seems, and that's what they're saying. Gam ish shlomi asher batachta vo ochel lachmai higdil alai akev. Even the man who sought my peace, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, even he has stamped upon me with his heel. So not only my enemies or even my acquaintances, but even my friends, even somebody who I supported, who came to my house, who ate my bread, who I was great friend to, even he has like stepped on top of me. He's stomping on my stomping, in a sense, not on my grave. He hopes to be on my grave. But God, be gracious to me, raise me up, and I will pay them back. It's interesting to think about. Very often the idea of the Torah that brings comfort to me, there's a lot of idea of destruction and death and terrible punishment, but a lot of that is left for God to do. God will be the ones who avenge. It's not our job to avenge. So let God avenge. But here, this is a person who's saying to God, presumably, these are bad people. They need to be taken care of. You bring me back to being a full health in life, and I will give them what they deserve. I'll take that part away from you. So that's sort of the second start of this psalm. And then we have a third, which is this idea. Now I believe that the person believes that his prayers have been answered. Bezot yadati ki chafatzti vi, ki lo yaria oivai alai. And this is how I know that you favor me, desire me, God, because because my enemies they're not being victorious over me. They're not joyously, ultimately, they're not joyously shouting. I'm the one, like Yari is like the same word, like tru'ah, one of the blasts of the shofar. They are not able to scream out in joy over me. We started when we talked about Ashrei Ha'ish, blessed be the man, how the 41st chapter is similar to the first chapter. And in that chapter, it talks about also Kim b'Torah Hashem chefzo, the one who desires God's Torah. And it's not the most uncommon word, but it's not the most common word. We have also this word chafetz, chafatz, be the fourth word of this chapter, of chapter 12. Va'ani, 2 and 13, vitumi tamachta bi, vatatziveni lefanecha leolam. But as for me, on the account of my integrity, you have upheld me, and you have set me before you forever. And this is the verse that sort of contrasts him to his enemies and his friends. They were people who took advantage. There are people who are saying, "Oh, we hope you get better," and they leave the hospital room and said, "I hope that dumb bastard or whatever dies, and hate that guy. And this is a person who says, I am not. That's not me. I am somebody. I keep by my commitments. I'm a man of my word. I'm not somebody who's so easily going to just get rid of my friends or wish ill of others. And the chapter concludes with the following verse. Now, there are those commentaries who explain that this was a verse maybe that was added later, that it wasn't originally there, because I don't know why, but maybe because sort of like the opening of the quote second book of Tehillim, but Baruch Adonai Elohei Yisrael me haolam v'ad haolam, Amen ve'amen. Blessed is God, God of Israel, from everlasting, like from here to there, forever and ever, from everlasting to everlasting. Olam means forever. And then they say Amen at the end, right? So here, this idea presumably is here because the person that believes that his prayers have been answered, and it's a fitting conclusion to this chapter, even though it seems like it was maybe added already in the last verse. We could have concluded if the chapter would have concluded with verse 13, we would have seen, okay, it's fine, right? As for me, because of my integrity, you upheld me, you've set me before you forever, right? I am healthy, I am back, I'm ready to do your will, God. I'm ready to take vengeance against my enemies. This next verse is not necessary. But if it's the and again, excuse my not remembering if this is the concluding chapter of the first book of Tehillim, or it's sort of the opening chapter of the second book of Tehillim. And excuse my not remembering which one it was. I didn't look it up recently, and so it would also, it ends on like this high note. Blessed is God, and everybody says Amen. And if it was at one point maybe part of an independent book, in the same way the Torah is the Torah, it's all scrolled together, but it's 5 separate books within the Torah. If this is sort of the first book on a slightly, a lengthy chapter, a novella within a larger novel, I don't think that makes sense. But then maybe that is why this verse was added here. Either way, it's a verse that praises God, and a good place for us to conclude this first sort of book of Tehillim. And we'll continue with more chapters, a lot of them being very similar. We'll have other ones that are more familiar to us, the Hallelujahs, the Shir HaMalot. We're not there for a while. And other chapters which we have said, and we've gone through many chapters that we say daily on Shabbat, others, perhaps the most famous of them all, Psalm 23, and we continue with many other chapters that will attempt to probe and understand the plight of man at times of joy, and more often at times of difficulty.